Does your golf swing look like this? Well, don't be discouraged. Stay tuned for Modern Golf, featuring Dave Hill, one of America's fine young touring professionals, and Hal Scheidler, the man who believes everyone can break 80. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Modern Golf. My name is Hal Scheidler, and that's right, I do believe everyone can break 80, at least occasionally. We're speaking to you today from the fabulous Indian Wells Country Club at Palm Desert, California. And with us on this beautiful sunny afternoon, Mr. Dave Hill, one of America's fine young touring professionals. Dave, welcome aboard.
Thank you, Hal. It's real nice to be here.
I know that you've had an opportunity the days we've been working out here to renew some old acquaintances around Indian Wells.
That's right, Hal, and also to work on my game, which needed it.
Well, I think it's coming along in real good shape. We attempt to point up the various phases of the golf swing, and Dave demonstrates the various techniques, the various approach that he uses to the ball, and I think that his is about as standard as anything you're going to find. Dave is a stand-up, straightaway swinger, and he hits it good and hard, so I think that in the slow motion and the ultra-slow motion that we'll be showing you throughout the films, you'll certainly gain a lot of pointers which can help you with your game. Davey, we have a pretty good lesson set up for us today.
That's right, Hal. I sure hope that the people will be able to get something out of it, and I'll go get started.
Very good. We hope that you will take some notes, as a matter of fact, while you're watching these shows. When you go to the practice tee, take your notes along with you and try to remember one particular thing from each show. If you get one good pointer from each of the series of Modern Golf, when the series is over, you got to be a better player. Davey's moved down to the practice tee now, so we'll be joining him there in just 1 minute. Won't you come along?
Well, I have the 7-iron here, and it's a handy little club. I would say it probably gets more use in the average bag than except for the pitching wedge, and when they come out with a pitching wedge, everybody got pitching wedge conscious. This 7-iron comes in very handy for run-up shots, anything from, I'd say, 15 yards or 6 foot off the green to 150 yards. I'm going to hit a couple low shots here, choke the club up. Just hit a couple half 7-irons here. As you can see, I try to keep the backswing and the follow-through about the same height. In other words, I'll take a club to here, I'd like to follow through to there. This proves that I'm not forcing the club with the right hand, I'm just swinging it. Just take it here and there. If you hit it with the right hand, the club will either stop short of that position or go further. Now for a natural 7-iron, which is 155 yards. Slow with left arm, hit it and follow through. You can see the follow through was much longer. If I want to hit a little cut shot, set the left hand up on top weak, the right hand on top, open the stance a little bit and draw an imaginary line across the ball. Set it up right on target. Take it away and draw it. In other words, I'm keeping the ball from going to the left. If I have a pin set in the back right-hand corner with a bunker to the right, I'll shoot at the middle of the green and try to swing the ball from left to right to make sure that I don't hit it too far right, and knowing that I'm not going to hook it. If I hit it straight, I've still got a putt for a birdie, and if I hit the shot the way I intend, I got a real short shot for a birdie. Also comes in handy to take 5 and 10 yards off the distance of the ball. I can throw the ball up in the air high. If I want to hook the ball, I go the other way. Set the left hand a little over and just swing from inside out. I always look at the outside of the ball when I want to hook it.
We use a great deal of ultra-slow motion such as this to make it easier for the average player to study specific areas of the swing. You have an opportunity to concentrate on one thing at a time. And believe me, too much happens too fast to accomplish more than that. At regular speed, you'll see far less. Forget everything else, just watch the right elbow in this punch shot. You'll see that at the top of the swing, the right elbow points to the ground and will actually be ahead of the hands as it leads back into the ball. This robs the right hand of the power necessary to take command of the swing, and the left arm can continue on through the shot to a full extension forward. Both arms will then straighten and point out along the line of flight before the left arm collapses. The best possible practice to develop left-hand feel and confidence is this little one-hand shot. Now, don't try this with a driver. Take a 7-iron or a 9-iron and just make a nice, smooth pass at it like this. Once the subconscious has told the left hand that the right is going to quit at impact, the left will carry out the job. Imagine you have a rock tied to the end of a string. Swing it pendulum fashion, and never try to hit the shot with your hands. Swing the entire left side. Keep the head still, swing the left arm, and let the ball get in the way. Well, since we started our series on modern golf, I've had a number of folks ask me how it feels for a young fellow just going out on the tour. He's been out there maybe just a few weeks or a few months, and he's in a position to actually win his first major tournament. So I thought I'd ask Davey, because I know he's had the experience. Davey, as a matter of fact, I believe that the first PGA tournament you won, you actually won in a playoff.
Yes, it was Tucson in 1961. I played Tommy Bolt and Buddy Sullivan.
And I know, too, that I don't remember whether it was the second or third hole. I believe you knocked in what you might call a snake to win it all.
Well, it was about 35 feet from the right-hand edge of the green going up and over a hill and side hill. It was quite an experience for me. As far as nerves, every time I stepped up to hit it off the tee, I just hit it as hard as I could so I could be sure to get the club back and through.
Were you actually trying to make the putt that won you the tournament, or were you just trying to lag it close and hoping it might fall in?
Oh, you always just try to get it close, and this one went in the hole doing about 80 miles an hour.
I'm not going to ask you what Tommy Bolt said.
No, it was pretty discouraging to see somebody hold it from 40 feet, and you got it up there about 4 foot for a par. Both of them had hit it over the green, and they'd pitched it back within 4 feet, and I hold it for a 3, so they didn't have a chance.
Well, Davey, I know since that time you've had many pressure putts where actually a putt can mean as much difference as $400 or $500 on up to, in some cases, it could even mean $50,000 or $75,000 on one putt. Do the nerves still stay with you, or does the pressure tend to go away after you've had some experience?
Well, if one thinks about how much money's on the putt, it's sort of hard to hit it. But I always look at it, it's money that I didn't have, and if I make the putt, it's all the more money I'm going to make.
And I think you're going to make a lot of it in the future. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you, Hal.
Most everyone occasionally finds their ball in a lie such as this. Can be a little discouraging, but the big question is, do you know how to handle it? If nothing else good ever comes out of our series of modern golf, I know that I've been helped a great deal in one particular phase of my game. Dave happens to be working on that phase of his game right now. I'm going over and get another lesson. How about you? Lies such as this are all a part of the game of golf. They serve as the separation line between the player and the chopper. If you're a player, this particular problem is minor. If you're a chopper, well, you'll try to scoop it up, and likely as not, the club will bounce off the turf and you'll scuff it along the ground a few yards, or the club will dig in. You may not even make contact. Actually, this shot is not much more difficult than if it were teed up in the fairway. I may bore you occasionally by constantly stressing that you strike the ball first and then the turf, taking a divot in front of the ball after it is well on its way. Whatever you do, play the game by the rules, whether anyone's watching or not. Half the fun of the game is hitting a good shot under adverse circumstances. And until you perfect this phase of your game, this lie could be most difficult. To help you develop the answer to the bad lie, may I again remind you of the best practice aid I've ever seen. A simple arrangement calling for a piece of string, 2 golf tees, and some determination on your part. Wrap the string around the tees, push the tees down into the ground, and you'll know in a hurry if you're hitting the ball on the downswing. Sure, you'll miss a few. You'll rip up a few yards of string, but once you get this shot mastered, there's no such thing as an impossible lie in the fairway. Try to pick it or catch it a little fat. The string will tell you about it right now. Remember this. Knowing and doing are 2 different things. You know you must strike the ball on the downswing. Now do something about it. Grab a ball of twine and head for the practice tee. Golf is one game where you're strictly on your own. No one can hit it for you. Dave is one of the world's fine players, yet he averages 2 hours a day on the practice tee. There must be a reason. Well, our charming student golfer, Marcia Bennett, is with us again today, and Marcia tells me she's having some trouble with her woods. What's the problem, young lady?
Well, Hal, I seem to have a couple. First, I don't get the distance you think I should, and I slice the ball every once in a while and I duck hook it.
You don't have this trouble with the irons?
No, just the woods.
Well, Marcia, I would think you've fallen into the trap which most of us do fall into occasionally on the golf course. When we pick up the wood or one of the big clubs, we try to hit it hard. And when you really try to bust it, you go back to the strong right hand. You've forgotten, at least in your subconscious mind, that all the speed and power is really in the left hand. Now, when you try to hit it with the right hand, the big tendency is to hit it from the top. Well, there should be no strength in the right arm until the right arm straightens at impact. So getting it here, the right is powerless, and in attempting to get power, you do one of 2 things. You either bring the elbow up to make the right hand stronger, or you bring the right shoulder forward to make the right hand stronger, and either of these moves shoves the club outside the line. Now you must come back to the ball in order to hit it. Thus you cut across the ball and you get either the big banana ball or a duck hook, depending on the position of the hands at the moment of impact. Right now, Davy's over on the practice tee working on his woods. Let's go over and put some of his action in slow motion and see if we can't all learn something. Dave has not only advised Marcia of the dangers of a flying right elbow, but is constantly practicing to keep this phase of his own game under control. I know the elbow action you see here will feel terribly awkward and powerless until you've worked long enough for it to become a reasonably natural move. Dave occasionally throws in a few one-handed shots with all clubs, just to remind the left side that it must be the boss and must work all the time. The action of the swing is unchanged. The right elbow is in close to the body, and the point of the elbow will actually lead the hands back to the ball. To permit the elbow to drive through on the inside, the hips must move quickly. At the very start of the downswing, as the left hand starts the big pull down, there is a simultaneous lateral shift of the hips. They move straight forward toward the target, then rotate to the rear to clear the way for the right elbow. If the hips do not shift, the right elbow is forced out, the club head is now outside the line, you must come back to the ball, and you're back in Sliceville. Pay special attention to the hip slide. This is a move you can practice in front of your mirror. While the head remains in the initial starting position, the lower body shifts as far forward as is physically possible and will of its own accord make the natural swing to the rear. There is great body motion in the proper golf swing, but it is a controlled motion. Balance and rhythm are lost when you slug at the ball. Now, this young fella belts them with the best, yet he always has something in reserve. Try to keep those feet planted as firmly as possible. With the big clubs, most fine players will raise the left heel slightly to lengthen the swing. However, with the short clubs, keep that left heel on the ground. You're certainly in better balance, and you want to keep the swing short anyhow. All good pros will tell you golf is a two-handed game, and I agree. But 95% of the amateurs are playing with one hand, the right. For that reason, I stress all practice should be toward developing the left hand and arm. You think I might overdo that point? I say it's impossible. Show me the player, amateur or professional, who can hit it too hard with the left hand, and I'll pay your green fees for the rest of your life. I don't know a player who can break 80 with his right hand. I contend almost everyone can break 80 with his left. I don't ask you to believe me, just don't disbelieve until you've tried it. Here are three typical reasons for cheating on the golf course. One, stymied behind a tree so that the swing is restricted. Number two, in a pretty bad divot hole where you must hit the ball perfectly in order to get it close to the green or the pin. And number three, in the long grass and the rough where it's pretty hard to control the ball and really do anything with it. Many people have a tendency in situations like this to correct it not exactly in accordance with the rules of golf. I think you should not only be fair to your playing partners at all times, but be fair to yourself. Many people will actually cheat in situations like this, although they're playing only for fun. What they should realize is that they're cheating only themselves, and the final score on that scorecard is relatively unimportant. Let's have Marcia Bennett show us just how she might handle these three situations if she didn't really care about the rules of the game of golf. Stymied behind a tree, pretty simple to fix that. Simply move it out to where it doesn't bother you. Okay, now we've got one in a divot hole. Same procedure, just simply move it out of the way, tee it up, and go at it. And number three, in the rough. Why take a chance on hitting a shooter when it's so easy to just turn it over, get set, and get it up there to where you could make birdie? But that's not really the answer. The answer is the rules of the game of golf. So regardless of the situation, how tough you think it might be to knock it up there close to the hole and how bad you want that birdie or the par, play them as they lie. The rub of the green, that's what makes the game of golf the great game that it is. Right now, speaking of great games, we're going over and watch a young fellow who has what we consider to be one of the finest games in the country today, Mr. Dave Hill, giving us an exhibition of playing in competition with himself, playing one ball in the conventional manner, one ball with one hand to demonstrate the strong left side that we talk about all the time, and he's playing one of the fine holes here at the beautiful Indian Wells Country Club in Palm Desert, California. Stressing the benefits of learning the golf game properly, I might point out that that young lady has never played a round of golf in her life. She has been taking lessons for about a year, and we're just about ready to have at it. This hole is a regular little jewel with the rugged mountain in the background, the beautifully contoured and trapped green, and the lush, well-kept vegetation all around. You've got to feel like a king just being privileged to tee it up here. For his conventional shot, Davy will be going with the 6-iron. The hole plays out at about 166 yards. Slight breeze coming in from left to right. He sets it up open and will shoot it at the right center of the green with just a little draw. There's a nice smooth swing for you and a beautiful shot. The wind kept the ball from moving left, and it wound up dead straight where it was aimed. Drops in softly, and Davy has it hole high, about 18 feet. For the one-handed shot, again the 6-iron. Drawing on the experience with the wind on that last shot, Dave will play this one straight away. You just can't hit it straighter than that. The ball really took off and is directly over the flag, but going a little long on the back edge. From the fringe, Dave will use his putter. This is downhill, has very little break. A fine leg putt, should be a simple par. There's a pretty good putt here which will break rather sharply, and it's also about 18 feet. Repair those ball marks, and you might even fix an extra one when one of your club members is forgetful. Davy knows there's a break here, but it's a little hard to believe. It looks almost straight. The break fooled him, and he'll have to settle for a pair of pars. That brings us to the close of another of our golf sessions on Modern Golf. We certainly hope that you've picked up a couple of pointers which will help you with your game. David, congratulations on your play. That's a pretty good little par 3 hole, and I thought you handled it very nicely.
Yes, Al, it's a beautiful hole. The setting is just gorgeous. You got yourself a green that is well banked and a target to shoot at. You got the rocks behind there. It's a beautiful hole, especially late in the afternoon when you get to play it.
If you hit it a little bit right or left, you can have some problems. It is a demanding hole in the sense that you've got to hit the ball straight and you've got to have the right stick.
Oh, yes, Al. Most par 3s are built to where if you miss the green, you've got a difficult pitch.
Fine, Davy. I know that your game has progressed considerably since we've been out here working on Modern Golf, and we hope that it's going to put a few bucks in the kitty when we go back out on the tour.
Well, kids need new pair of shoes.
Fine, and we know they'll get them. Thank you very much, Dave. We'll see you next week. This is Hal Scheidler speaking for Dave Hill, reminding you that we've been coming your way from the beautiful Indian Wells Country Club at Palm Desert, California. We'll be here same time, same station next week, and we hope that you'll be right there. Until then, remember, keep your head down and your left arm straight, and believe me, you can break 80.